So you want to be a bard? Hey everybody, my name is Luke and I run the Instagram page Nerdcraft HQ where I build some cool stuff and paint some minis, but that's not why we're here to talk today. We're here to talk today about bards. That is right, bards. The NPC flirting, tight wearing, sex positive singing members of the party. Jokes aside, but not tropes aside, bards are legit. More people than I am comfortable with consider bard to be a throwaway class or a joke class. They think that bards might not be useful in a party, or that their actual ability to sing, the person, not the character, isn't good enough. Let's derail that. Derail! Now, these are just my opinions. I also should mention that I do run some homebrew rules that might not work for your table or your campaign. No sweat. I'm just here to share my opinion on bards. Let's get started. The player's handbook in this case actually does a decent job of explaining the variety in which bards exist. It even goes as far as to say they have a wide range knowledge of many subjects and a natural aptitude that lets them do almost anything well. Wow. Let's talk about that. This doesn't mean you have to be the jack of all trades. You don't want to be stuck being okay at everything and never mastering anything. You can get strangely specific on what your bard focuses on. Bards learn their craft from what the book refers to as colleges. This can be interpreted in many ways. We'll talk about that in a minute, but first we're going to talk about the quick build section of the bard chapter. Charisma is an obvious choice for your character's highest ability score. You'll use charisma for your spellcasting as well as your performance and your persuasion skill checks. The book then suggests dexterity for your second highest, but consider where you come from. Maybe your performances require great feats of strength. It's just something to think about. The book then suggests entertainer as your background, but that might not work for your character. Maybe your character was a soldier, or a city guard, or even a hermit. Perhaps they're just now getting into the performance. It is important to think about where these skills came from, and that's where we're going to start talking about the bardic colleges. College can look like anything in a fantasy world, from sizing to funding, private, public. Your college doesn't have to be a snobby rich kid place. Schools come in all different varieties, small, highly specific, and sadly even less than well funded. Your bard doesn't have to be snotty and snooty like they're often portrayed. They can be humble in their talents. Singing and playing a musical instrument aren't the only things that a bard can do. You can do things like poetry, dancing, juggling, performance like sleight of hand. Just anything that's generally entertaining to an audience. And while we're splitting hairs here, an audience is any size of people who you're performing for, few or many. It should go without saying, but the way that you interpret the magic quality of a bard's performance is entirely up to you. Let's name some of those colleges just to get the juices flowing. So there's the College of Lore. That sounds pretty cool. There's the College of Valor. There's the College of Glamour. There's the College of Swords. There's the College of Whispers, and many more. These can look any way you want for the context of your character and your campaign. I highly recommend talking to your DM about any quirks or any specific types of performances that you want to have for your bard. I also recommend talking about any props or anything you want to bring to the table, just to make sure it fits in and works well within the context of your campaign. Shout out to all my theater nerds. Bards are often seen as boisterous and flamboyant and loud. And this can be limiting to a shy person at the table who might want to play a bard, but doesn't like those performative aspects. Entertaining comes in many forms. You may be the loudest one in the room and getting people's attention, but keeping their attention requires a different skill. And that's not the singing chops of a god or the jokes of a comedian. It just requires heart. However your bard decides to perform, just make sure it's true to their heart and true to your heart. There are no wrong answers. And yeah, there was some stuff in the middle there that we didn't cover, but if you plan on playing a bard, you better get used to studying a bit. I hope that you found this useful. I consider this an exercise in extracurricular opinion sharing. If you want to chat about it, hit the comments below. If you did find it useful, liking, sharing, subscribing to the channel, and hitting the notification bell are all really great ways to help me. I hope that you have a lovely day. You're the best. Peace out. The player's handbook in this case actually does a decent job in explaining the variety in which bards do come.